Hi everyone, welcome back to Facts Class. Today we're going to talk about culinary terms. There are mixing and stirring terms, cutting terms, and cooking terms. We're just going to talk about the very basics today. So what terms are related to mixing and stirring? I want you to think about that for just a moment. What terms have we talked about in class or things that you've used at home that are related to mixing and stirring? Hopefully you're thinking of some of the ones that we're going to cover today. The first is to mix with a rotary beater or electric hand mixer. This term means to beat. Next we have cut in. This means that you're going to distribute the solid fat, so like a shortening or butter, in dry ingredients by cutting it with a pastry blender. You can also do this with a couple of forks, but it does take longer. Our next term is cream. You want to combine shortening and butter and sugar until it's soft and smooth. When you make chocolate chip cookies or just about any kind of cookie, it'll tell you in one of the first instructions to cream the butter and the sugars together. And that's what this is helping you to do, whether you're using a stand mixer or a hand mixer or even by hand. You're creaming the butters and the sugars together. Next, we're going to fold in to gently combine two mixtures. Looks like we have some chocolate pudding and some whipped cream. Whipped cream has a lot of air in it, so you need to be gentle with it. Otherwise, if you mix it too fast, then you're going to lose that air and it just kind of turns to just kind of a liquidy milk. And so you want to keep that fluffiness, and so you're going to be gently folding it in. Next, we have to stir. This means that you're going to combine the ingredients with a circular or figure-8 motion until there's a uniform consistency. So you're making the figure-8, maybe you're scraping the bottom or scraping the sides. You want it all mixed together into this nice uniform consistency. Where stirring was fairly gentle, now we're going to whip, which means to combine in a way that distributes all ingredients evenly. Perhaps you'll use a wire whisk to do this, and you're very quickly whipping around the bowl, getting the edges and the bottom and getting everything evenly mixed together. Next, we have the term toss. This means to tumble ingredients lightly with a lifting motion. So you're bringing the ingredients from the bottom up to the top, such as in this salad here. You're just gently combining all of it together. So what terms are cutting terms? And this will be something that we talk even more about when we talk about our knife skills. So to mince something, think of minced garlic. You can see in the picture how tiny that garlic or ginger is. So that means to cut into very, very small pieces. There's really no dimension to them. You're just trying to get them as small as possible. And that takes some time. Next we have cube. So just like in math, a cube is a square. That's what it means for cooking as well. To cut food into pieces that are even, like a square. Perhaps it's 1/3 of an inch to a 1/2 inch in size. So that's going to be about the size of a dime, maybe even smaller than that. Next, we chop. And we do a lot of chopping when we work with vegetables. This is to cut food into small, irregular pieces. Slicing. To slice, we need to cut across the grain into thin, uniform pieces. Maybe we slice an apple or slice a potato. There's lots of things that we can slice. Pare. Not the pear that you eat, but P-A-R-E. This means to remove the outer peel or skin of a fruit or vegetable with a knife, or more importantly, a vegetable peeler, which incidentally, a vegetable peeler can also be used on fruit or other ingredients as well. To grate. This means to shred foods into various small sizes. In our kitchens in the classroom, we have what's called a box grater. So you can actually stand it up and grate it. This here is very handy and it is easily stored, but it could possibly slip as you're working with it. And so that's one reason why I like the box grater a little bit better. All right, our last section is what terms are good for cooking terms, or what terms can you think of are cooking terms? If you do any grilling or marinating, you might baste or spoon or brush liquid over the food during cooking to keep it moist and to add flavor. So that's where it could be a marinade, or it could be like a barbecue sauce or some other kind of sauce that you use a basting brush to almost paint it over your food product. Our next term is boil. This means to heat until bubbles rise continuously and break on the surface. So they're breaking the surface, they're all popping up, and that's how you know that your water is ready to boil for maybe the noodles for macaroni and cheese or for spaghetti. This term is sauté. This is when food is cooked on the stove top in a small amount of fat. So you put in some oil. Oftentimes it's vegetables or meat that are sautéed. Maybe you use a wok, maybe you use a skillet, electric skillet, or a frying pan to do that. But it's cooked on the stove top or on top of a heating source. Then when we're baking products, our recipes often tell us to preheat the oven to a certain degrees. And so it is important to remember that preheat means to turn the oven on to the correct temperature according to the recipe. All right, you guys, those are the culinary terms that we are working with today. Please go to your culinary terms assignment, and I'll go over those directions in just a moment in class.